people and techies. I hope you all are doing well, and still you have the ambitions towards like to learn cloud computing. And for those who are like working in system support or maybe a system administrative, and who are working as a in technical support and want to just migrate towards cloud. So this is a whole series, and the second video, I'm just trying to help the people to basically get an idea and get a deep dive inside AWS cloud platform. And yes, so today's agenda is actually what we are going to do. What we are going to learn about a service model of cloud. Okay, and second thing, we're also going to discuss about the basic prerequisite, what we actually need. And obviously there are a lot of things, if you know, so it's really better. You will really get a the things will become more easier for you to understand. And now the third thing is actually how soon you will capable of working with AWS, right? How soon you can eligible to apply for a job in AWS to any company, right? A startup or maybe an MNC in future. So obviously it's totally depend on your potential. Also because here in this whole series of section, I'm going to suggest you a lot of things, what books you can prefer, because for AWS there is just one book. Okay, so there is like somebody asked me whether how it's going to help. I'm a developer, like there was a guy who was developer, and he said, is it going to help me as well? Or the part you are going to cover is actually, is it something beneficial for a developer or just a people who are a system administrator who just want? So here, basically, there's a cloud computing a platform. It's really helpful for everybody. If you're a developer, if you are in big data, or if you are you are in just in system administration, this is gonna help to all of us, right? Because as a platform, they are providing lots of services for a solution for everything. Okay, so without wasting much of your time, I'm just coming on the topic. So basically, cloud service model, when we just where does this term's coined up? So I'm going to tell you this in a simple language, right? So if you are a developer, you must be aware of the MVC and MVT model, right? A model view controller, model view templates, right? In similar way, for just starting to the end, right? From end to end, if you consider this cloud service model, it is you can say a pyramid based structure. So basically, it starts with the base, which is called IAAS, right? IAAS, infrastructure as a service. So let's go and see what infrastructure service is. So basically, in a company, you can say in conventional, infrastructure model, you have seen there is a data center where we have all the servers. You must say there's a long racks. You must seen those pictures, right? Where they have a long racks and a lot of the hard drive and CPUs are, just placed inside the racks. They having a lots of wire and connection. So basically that's a part of infrastructure, right? And you have a lot of routers, hubs, switches you're using inside your companies, a LAN connections, a system, and a lot of things. So these are a part of infrastructure, right? So say similar in same, if you compare with the cloud, so here all the things like your database engines and basically a database server, your application server, the server actually the platform on which you're working is the base model of it is your server, networking device, right? And you can say your routers, and you can say all the networks and servers. They basically comes your part of IaaS platform. Now, if you just move up a little bit on this platform, right, in this pyramid, so you will see the second is PAAS, PAAS, right, as an acronym for platform as a service. Well, I have seen there are a lot of people who are confused between PaaS and there is the last thing is SaaS, software as a service. Okay, so there is a lot of confusion there still. So I hope you will clear with the IaaS, infrastructure as a service. So whatever devices like network devices, network hardware, system hardware, everything is a part of your infrastructure. right? Anything in your office, if you see your, our desktop is a part of your company's infrastructure. If you see a router, is a part of your infrastructure. Now coming toward this platform as a service. Okay, so just imagine you have got a team in your project which is basically totally dedicated toward the development. What they need to start the development? For example, they have a testing model, a testing environment, they have a development environment, they have a quality environment, right? And they have a production environment. So what all they need to, just spin the application or spin the code, right? So they basically need a kind of platform. So for example, I'm just giving a basic glimpse here. So in your company, there are certain people who are a part of development team. They ask, to you as an operation team, well, actually, we are seeking to just prepare or get ready a LAMP stack server, right? So what they all need here, if they're saying the LAMP stack server, so they basically want to get prepared a Linux based operating system server with Apache. Apache is a web server here. So well, I'm not going to discuss about right now Apache, but in the in the next videos I'm going to tell you each and everything basics about Apache as a web server. And also we have lots of variants, Nginx, we have application server, so we will discuss later. You can put your queries as much as you want and I'm going to help you with that. All right, so and they have a MySQL they're using as a database, and they're also using PHP, right, as a server side language. Okay, so they said like, I want this to be get configured. Now you are an Amazon engineer, cloud engineer in your company, and you get this kind of ticket, right? You get all these requirement as a ticket. Now how you're going to, like, you will start everything. You will just spin a a cloud machine, right, a EC2 instance, and after that you will configure everything. You're going to run a script, whether like you have created a shell script, so you will spin it, or you will do everything manually. You will just run a command like sudo yum install Apache or httpd, or sudo yum install PHP library, MySQL libraries, right, to connect PHP with MySQL database. So you're going to install all those stuff. You'll make the system is running, and what you're gonna do, you will going to create a user. You will give a permission, not obviously administrative permission or sudo permission. You will create a user, and you will just share the IP address or FQDN of the domain of it, and you will just give it to the user. Okay, this is ready. You can start your development, and the people, they know actually where they have to put the static files, they have to put the data and everything. You will configure it, right? So this is a platform, same as in containers, right? Now these days you must have heard of this. Every application is now on a microservices based environment or container based, like Docker, right, is very booming, right? If you don't know, nothing to worrying about it, right? I'll give you an introduction about Docker as well. Try to help you with the Docker, and it's like, now they have Docker Compose, Docker so on. There are a lot of things. Now to handle the, these things, the Docker container, we use Kubernetes. Is a Google created and, open source technology, which basically take care of your deployment and development on container based environment. Okay. So this is, you can consider, or Red Hat OpenShift, right, is also a part of platform as a service. Now coming towards this software as a service. Okay, so what basically a software as a service is, right? So you must be heard of today like SharePoint, right, Office 365, and you also heard of it, the term called like Salesforce, right, a customer relationship management tool, or a ServiceNow, right? So they are software, right, is a client end software. For example, you bought a license for Salesforce, or you bought a license for ServiceNow or for SharePoint from Microsoft. So what Microsoft will provide you, right? They will provide you a software like with all the benefits, customization. For example, my company bought SharePoint for to set the collaboration side to collaboration and team side. So they created a project site you can create in SharePoint. If you have a bit idea about SharePoint, is either you can just go and just Google it. You will find it's really like, now these days the people are started working using such kinds of technologies, right? So in SharePoint, you have the client have his administration that he can customize his own stuff according to his need, right? He can customize everything. Same happened with ServiceNow. You can customize your ServiceNow as you want. Okay, you can sync with your Active Directory environment. You can sync with with a lot of other things, your customer data and everything. The items modules you can just customize with it, and there's no problem with it. Okay, so this is all about here the three structure, right? And I'm going to also share details of how you can get those models and everything. Now coming toward the prerequisites, so I would say if you want to start the cloud, what is the minimum requirement you should know, right? And even if you are preparing for solution architect associate, and there's a new update, the solution architect associate exams, right? It has been updated, their new release, which is started from Feb 2018, right? But still, the people who are preparing for certification, if you feel comfortable, you can probably go with the older version, which is like last long for many years, right? Last 5 years, you can go for that version before August 2018. Okay. Now, what is a minimum prerequisite? Okay, so this happen everywhere, right? There is no prerequisite of learning, right? You're free to learn anything, right? But what happened to make your work easier, to make your task, a learning task or your job easier? This is something always better. You will, get more sweat before the war, right? So here I'm just going to tell you, if you have a basic knowledge of Linux, right? So it's really gonna help you a lot if you have a basic knowledge of Linux. And if you have a good knowledge of shell scripting, okay, if you have good knowledge of Python, it's really good. You can do scripting. You can make your task more easier. Like the people who are going to work on their task for many times, right? They have to do a lot of things. For example, to automate your job, because it's better if you know a bit about scripting. But if you don't know, that doesn't matter a lot, because once you will switch to a company who are having a such kind of working environment, you're gonna learn these things. This is really very easy, and trust me, most of the thing nobody can teach you. Everybody, 70% of your knowledge you're gonna get once you will be in a company at that particular profile. This is an industrial truth, right? So even if somebody is promising you, I am just going to provide you a training or such kind of industrial based practical training, trust me, nobody can able to provide you such kind of training, right? All right, so this is a truth, because those things you're gonna learn only in a production or a live environment. Okay, because you probably get a basic about everything, but that's enough. If you have a basic concept of anything, you can learn those things without any trouble, right? Now I talked about Linux. If you know, Linux is really important. PowerShell, because you must be aware of there's a Windows server. If you're working with like a lot of people or a lot of the companies choose their WAMP stack, right? So a good knowledge about like IAAS server. So PowerShell is really helpful if you know PowerShell, but it's really easy. You can learn it without any trouble, because I think if you give like 2 days, right, you will learn PowerShell enough to just use of it, right? Now coming, what else you're supposed to be know, right? Okay, so Linux we covered. If you have a basic understanding of web servers, it's really an advantage. If you have a basic understanding of databases, it's again another advantage, because just like I'm working in a startup, so they gave me environment for everything. You have to work on this, you have to work on this. So this is all advantage you're gonna get. But don't worry, here I'm just going to, as I promised you, I'm going to cover the things from the scratch, and you will get advantage of whole thing here, right? If you don't know Linux, that's not a problem, because it's a very deep dive. If you know, there are lots of distributions here in a market for the Linux, so it's not a big thing to crack. You can easily grab all the basic concepts, because we are going to work on command line. So if you're really enthusiastic or ambitious towards learning cloud, you have to be fallen in love with Linux, or you can say command line interface, right? Even I just prefer Windows, just to make easier, because for the personal users, a GUI based operating system are good, right? But like if you're talking about like Linux is really strong So well, I'm not going to discuss in deep dive about the Linux here. So this is a prerequisite. And one question I have been asked, like, okay, if I'm going to learn here AWS, so is it going to help me if I'm going to further with the Azure or maybe Google Cloud Platform or maybe with the Alibaba? Yes, so the answer is yes, it's really gonna help you. So basically what you're going to understand, you're just basically getting an understanding of utilizing or taking a practice of those cloud resources. Only thing which is going to be changed if you're moving or migrating into a AWS environment to a Azure environment or maybe a cloud platform, just the naming convention. Okay, for example, here to a virtual machine, or you can say a virtual server, they call it EC2. In Azure they call it VMs, virtual machines. Here they call object storage, just like S3, simple service storage, right? But if you're moving to in the Azure, so they call it blob storage. Just the naming convention is going to be changed, and little bit of the interface, obviously the administration. All right, so this is probably my last video here, right, in which you're gonna having a face-to-face interaction with me. Now from now onwards, I'm going to start all about the AWS. I'll go with the basics, right? I'll give you an introduction of what the major product we are going to cover, what services they are currently offer, what trends they have, right? And then we are going to cover about they have a, like we'll start from the IAM, Identity Access Management. Okay, I'm not going to discuss here right now in this video because this is just about the prerequisite and about the. So if you have any question regarding anything, just put it on a comment box, or you can just ping me on Skype, or you can just write a mail. I'm glad to answer that, right? I'm glad to help you with that. And suggest me if you have any problem with the videos as well. I'm just trying to, because as I say, I'm an amateur vlogger, so I just started it for you, and I'm just planning to keep it continue for a long time. And thank you so much. Thanks. And if you really like it, share with others, do subscribe. It's really gonna helpful, because I'm not going to leave this session like just on 2 or 3 videos. It's a really long thing, and you're gonna learn really a lot. And obviously you are free to share your knowledge with us for collaboration.